Hi, Gary Port, NY Divorce Facts, Port and Sava, here with, well, Yuzu's already going for it. Macha's got his already. Gomashio. And we're on the other side of the room now because Azuki just doesn't want to leave her cage. So in order to get her in here, I've got to be by her cage. I've mentioned before that she and Macha are rescues. And as a result, they tend to be a little more skittish than the other two birds. I have no idea what happened to them at their first home, but as a result, they're somewhat high-strung, a little neurotic. Azuki is far more high-strung than Macha, and for the last few weeks, she's been staying mostly in her cage. We don't know why, but that's her home. Today we're going to talk about homes, a topic that comes up quite a lot in my business. It has to do with when one party buys the home before the marriage and the deed is solely in their name. In that situation, that house is separate property. Under New York domestic relations law, all property bought during marriage is marital property. So if the house was bought before marriage, it's not marital property. And if only one party's name is on the deed, then that party is the sole owner of the house, regardless of how many years the untitled spouse lived there. And this is where those problems come in. We have a divorce. Party's been living in the house for a number of years. And the spouse who's not on the deed, who was not around when the house was purchased, wants to know, is any part of that house going to be theirs? And the answer is generally not, except. All right, let me explain that. As we said, all property acquired during marriage is marital property, all property acquired before marriage is separate property. But a house can be a little different, because if marital resources are put into the house to make it more valuable, then the increased value may, in fact, be marital property. But it's not that easy. You don't get dollar for dollar credit. So let's say you put a $30,000 kitchen into the house. You don't get $30,000 back. You get the amount of money that $30,000 increased the value of the house to. So a new kitchen for, say, $30,000 may only raise the value of the property by, let's say, $5,000. That $5,000 then is marital property, of which the untitled spouse would get half, or $2,500. It's very expensive to determine what is the increased value and how it relates to the marital share. In the divorce, we do what's called a differential appraisal. We hire an appraiser, licensed appraiser, not a realtor, a licensed appraiser, who will determine what the value of the house was at the time of marriage, what the value of the house is at the time that we're doing the appraisal, and if there's an increased value, how much of that increase is attributable to any improvement to the house. New roof, addition to the house, finished basement, new bathrooms, things like that. And again, there's not a dollar for dollar credit on that. $100,000 put into the house is not necessarily going to result in $100,000 worth of value. I mean, sure, if you take a Cape house and turn it into a colonial, then you've got a whole different situation. But most people don't do that. They're talking about, as I said, minor stuff, kitchens, bathrooms, roofs, and that may not add that much value to the house. If you're in that situation where you're in a divorce and the house is premarital, you've got questions. Well, I've got answers. If you have any questions, give me a call at 516-352-2999 at Port and Sava. We help you get on with the rest of your life. Yes, Macha, I know you're there. And Azuki, do you want another one too, sweetheart? There you go, baby.